Hello and welcome to this overview of the American Bar Association Young Lawyers Division Assembly and the resolutions process. My name is Dave Scriven-Young. I'm an attorney in Chicago, Illinois, with the law firm of Pekar and Abramson practicing commercial litigation, construction law, and environmental law. And most importantly, I had the privilege and honor of being the YLD's Assembly Speaker for the 2014-2015 bar year. So let's get started with an overview of the Assembly. Well, the Assembly meets twice each year, on Saturday during the mid-year meeting and on Friday and Saturday during the annual meeting. The Assembly is a gathering of young lawyers representing affiliated national, state, and local bar associations from across the country, and the Assembly is also the principal policy-making body of the ABA-YLD. There's lots of fun and excitement at Assembly also. So, for example, and probably the most important thing we do, is that we debate and vote on resolutions that impact the justice system and the lives of young lawyers. We also hear from the ABA-YLD's officers and the association's top leaders. We celebrate the achievements of young lawyers and our affiliates through award presentations, and we also elect the ABA-YLD's officers and constitutional representatives. So let's have an overview of the resolution process. So the most important thing for you to know is that a young lawyer's idea can become ABA policy. And that happens through a three-step process. First, the young lawyer proposes the idea and drafts the resolution. Then the ABA-YLD Assembly considers and approves the resolution. And then the ABA House of Delegates considers and approves that resolution. And that's how a young lawyer's idea can become ABA policy. And why does that even matter to young lawyers? Well, ABA policy really does matter because there are different groups within the broader association that advocate the positions taken in resolutions that become ABA policy. So with entities such as the ABA Governmental Affairs Office and the Grassroots Action Center advocate those policy positions. The statements and initiatives of the ABA president come from ABA policy, and also amicus briefs that are written on behalf of the ABA take those positions based on ABA policy, and then those policy initiatives are advocated in Washington, D.C. To congressional delegations during the ABA Day in Washington. The ABA policy really is important. And let's just focus in a little bit on one aspect of that, which is the Governmental Affairs Office, which advocates those policy positions. So they advocate the policy in four different ways. First, they might arrange for ABA witnesses to testify before congressional committees and other governmental bodies. They submit numerous written statements, position papers, and letters advocating the ABA policy on issues of interest to Congress. They meet regularly with members of Congress and their staffs to convey the ABA's concerns and views on matters of importance to the legal profession. And they also maintain an active grassroots lobbying effort and distribute periodic alerts to ABA entities and to state and local bar groups to advise them of legislative developments that call for concerted action. So how can young lawyers be involved in this process? Well, again, there's a three-step process. First, the young lawyer submits his or her idea via the YLD Assembly Resolution Idea Form. Then the young lawyer prepares a resolution with the assistance from the YLD Resolutions team. And then the Assembly considers and votes on those resolutions. So let's talk about resolution ideas. And where can those resolution ideas come from? Pretty much anywhere within the ABA-YLD. So they can come from individual members, committees, boards, teams, and also YLD affiliates, which are the national, state, and local young lawyer bar associations that have affiliated themselves with the ABA-YLD. And what should those resolution ideas be? Or specifically, what topics could those ideas come under? And the important thing is that you look at the division's long-range plan. Goal 3 is to serve as the recognized voice of young lawyers by developing resolutions that preserve and foster the ideals of the division and all young learners. So, what are the ideals of the division, and what resolutions could come from those? Well, let's look at certain categories. They could be resolutions that provide young learners with resources that foster professional and personal development. They could strengthen and improve our relationships with the ABA YLD affiliates. They could promote diversity in the profession. And they could also promote public service. So all of these are sort of categories for the ideas that young lawyers might have for resolutions that could come before the assembly. How do you submit an idea if you're a young lawyer? Well, as I said, you would use the YLD Assembly Resolution Idea form, which is available on the Assembly webpage. And generally, you have to submit the form by mid-September for the mid-year meeting and at the end of March for the annual meeting. So how do ideas become assembly resolutions? Well, let's take a step back and talk about how or what resolutions are. There's really two things that a resolution contains. The first is a concise recommendation. So, for example, one such recommendation from the past would say, resolve that the American Bar Association encourages all law schools to create Veterans Law Institutes for the purpose of ensuring that all veterans, especially those who are unemployed or otherwise financially strained, have unfettered access to legal services. So that's a concise recommendation. But you also need to have a written report that supports the recommendation with relevant facts, authority, and argument. Those two things comprise an assembly resolution. And you don't have to draft the resolution by yourself. There are members of the resolution team that are available to assist with the drafting of those resolutions. The resolutions team is handpicked by the assembly speaker, and all of those folks are available to assist with the drafting of resolutions and to answer any questions you might have. Typically, completed resolutions have to be completed by November for the mid-year meeting and in May for the annual meeting. So, in other words, there's quite a process here, but there's always help for you if you're interested in submitting a resolution idea and a resolution itself to be considered by the assembly. So I really encourage you to get involved and to do so. So how do YLD resolutions, assembly resolutions, become ABA policy? And this is the body that does it. This is a picture of the ABA House of Delegates. The HOD chair this year that the picture was taken was Bob Carlson, and then you can see Hillary Clinton at the below podium, or the podium below Mr. Carlson, who was presenting to the House of Delegates that year. But essentially, as I said before, the Assembly elects young lawyer representatives, officers, and constitutional representatives. And four of those representatives, or constitutional reps, are actually delegates to the ABA House of Delegates. Those delegates to the House advocate for the passage of resolutions that have passed the YLD Assembly. So once the YLD Assembly passes a resolution, our representatives to the House then take those resolutions to the House for consideration by that body. And so that's essentially the big picture. Now I just want to talk a little bit about sort of the nitty-gritty procedure process during assembly itself. The most important document that contains information concerning procedures is the Assembly Standing Rules, which is a packet of rules that is available online, again, on the webpage of the Assembly. And let me just go through a few of the very typical motions that you might hear about during assembly. First would be a motion to reopen delegate certification. Many times, because of travel schedules, folks are not able to certify as a delegate during the pre-assembly periods of time to actually certify. So sometimes a motion to reopen delegate certification is made, and then you can become certified as a delegate during assembly. Sometimes there's a motion to amend a resolution. Just remember that if you're going to make a motion to amend a resolution, that those motions, I should say, must be in writing. Sometimes folks make a motion to postpone a resolution indefinitely. Sometimes that occurs when folks don't believe that they have enough information, or perhaps that the resolution has not been vetted by another body, and so a motion to postpone a resolution might be made to stop a vote from occurring. Sometimes there's a motion for the previous question or to limit debate. This would occur when a delegate believes that he or she has heard enough debate, that the body has enough information at this time to vote. So they'll make a motion to limit debate, move for the previous question to have a vote immediately. Sometimes there has to be more debate time. So a delegate might make a motion to extend the time limits for debating a resolution. So what happens is after debate is over, the assembly speaker will call for the question and actually ask delegates to vote. That usually occurs by a voice vote. So he or she will call for the yeas and nays, and everyone will say yay or nay at once. If a delegate believes that the assembly speaker either got the vote wrong or that the vote was just simply too close to call, they might call for a division of the assembly, which is essentially a counted vote of the yeas and nays. And then sometimes there's a motion to adopt the negative vote as policy. Sometimes other entities within the ABA have a resolution coming before the House of Delegates that they want the YLD Assembly to vote beforehand. And sometimes they do that because they want to know what young lawyers think about the resolution before it goes to the House. So sometimes when that happens, sometimes those resolutions lose an assembly vote. With the way that our division is structured, a no vote on the resolution does not bind our representatives to the House of Delegates to vote no. They essentially can vote any way they want. So sometimes during this process, during assembly, if a resolution is defeated, sometimes a delegate will move to adopt a negative vote as policy. If that motion is successful, then our delegates to the House of Delegates will have to vote no as to that resolution. And so that's all I had for this brief presentation on assembly resolutions and the assembly process generally. Feel free to contact me if you have any questions, but of course, feel free to reach out to the assembly speaker and the assembly clerk before assembly. During assembly, the speaker actually will appoint a parliamentarian that can answer any questions that you might have concerning assembly procedures. So if you have questions during assembly, feel free to walk up and ask the parliamentarian your question. Most of all, have fun during assembly. It's actually a really great time, a really fun process, and make sure that you participate. Make sure that you vote loudly, that you get up there and actually participate by debating resolutions. Make your time valuable and make your voice heard. Whether you're representing a state, a local bar, an affiliate bar, or a national bar, make sure you represent them well by participating and make your time worthwhile during assembly. We really look forward to your participation, and we really look forward to seeing you at the next assembly. So until then, take care. Have a great day.